I called my own dead father's phone as a joke, and someone picked up. What you're about to hear actually happened. These are 3 true stories about people who discovered something impossible, evidence that they existed in places they'd never been, at times that made no sense. The first story starts with a phone call that should have gone straight to voicemail, but it didn't. Patterson was bored at work. It was 2:47 p.m. on a Thursday in March 2021, and he was killing time before his next meeting. He worked tech support for a software company in Seattle, and slow days were common. That's when he remembered an old internet myth. If you call your own number, something strange happens. Some people said it just rings forever. Others claimed you'd hear static. Jake didn't believe any of it, but he had 15 minutes to kill. So he dialed his own number. It rang once, twice, then someone picked up. Hello. Jake's stomach dropped. It was his voice, exactly his voice, same tone, same slight rasp he'd had since he was a kid. He hung up immediately. His hands were shaking. That was impossible. His phone was in his hand. He was looking at the screen. Nobody could have answered. Jake tried to rationalize it. Maybe it was a glitch. Maybe it was some weird cell tower echo. He'd worked in tech long enough to know systems had bugs. But then his phone buzzed. A text message. From his own number. Why did you hang up? Jake stared at the screen. His throat went dry. Another message appeared. We need to talk. Jake's finger hovered over the keyboard. He typed, "Who is this?" The response came instantly. "You know who this is." Jake stood up from his desk, looked around the office. Everyone else was working normally. Nobody was watching him. Nobody was playing a prank. He texted back, "This isn't funny. I'm not trying to be funny. I'm trying to warn you." Warn me about what? 3 dots appeared. Disappeared, appeared again. Don't go home tonight. Jake's blood ran cold. Why not? Because I did, and I'm still here. Jake blocked the number, deleted the messages, tried to forget it happened. But that night, as he drove home, he couldn't shake the feeling that someone was watching him. Every car behind him felt suspicious. Every shadow in his apartment building looked wrong. When he got to his door, he noticed something strange. His doormat was flipped over. Jake never flipped his doormat over. Inside, everything looked normal. Lights off, TV remote where he'd left it. His coffee mug from that morning still in the sink. But there was a smell. Faint cologne, the same cologne Jake wore. He checked every room. Closets, bathroom, under the bed. Nothing. Jake tried to sleep but couldn't. Every creak in the apartment made him jump. Around 3 a.m., his phone buzzed. Another text from his own number, even though he'd blocked it. "I told you not to come home." Jake sat up in bed, heart racing. "What do you want from me?" "I don't want anything. I'm trying to help you. The same thing that happened to me is going to happen to you." "What happened to you?" No response. Jake waited 5 minutes, 10 minutes, nothing. Then at 3:17 a.m., a photo came through. It was Jake. asleep in bed, taken from the doorway of his bedroom, taken 30 seconds ago. Jake jumped out of bed and turned on every light in his apartment. He grabbed a knife from the kitchen and checked every room again. Still nothing. No one. But his bedroom door, the one he always kept open, was closed. He hadn't closed it. Jake didn't sleep that night. He sat in his living room with all the lights on until sunrise. When morning came, he went straight to the police. They were skeptical. Someone's probably spoofing your number. The officer said, "It's a common scam. How do you explain the photo?" Jake showed him. The officer studied it. Could be photoshopped. Could be taken another night. Is anything missing? Any signs of forced entry? Nothing. Without evidence of a crime, there's not much we can do. Change your locks. Maybe stay with a friend for a few days. Jake did change his locks. He also installed cameras, 3 of them, 1 in the living room, 1 in the bedroom, 1 at the front door. That night, he stayed at his friend Chris's place. He watched the camera feeds on his phone. At 11:34 p.m., his front door opened. But nobody walked in. The door just opened slowly, like someone was being careful not to make noise. Then it closed. Jake watched the living room camera. Nothing, no movement, no figure, just his empty apartment. But the bedroom camera showed something that made Jake's skin crawl. His bed. The covers were moving, like someone was getting into bed. The shape of a person formed under the blankets. Then it stopped moving. Jake called the police from Chris's apartment. They went to check his place. When they arrived, they found nothing. No intruder, no one in the bed. The cameras showed the door opening and the bed moving. But when police reviewed the footage with Jake, they saw what he saw. No visible person. Just movement. Could be a malfunction. One officer suggested, "These wireless cameras glitch all the time." But Jake knew what he saw. He moved out the next week, broke his lease, lost his security deposit, didn't care. 3 months later, Jake was living in a new apartment across town. Different building, different neighborhood. He'd gotten a new phone number, new locks, new everything. He was finally starting to feel safe. Then one night, his new phone rang. Unknown number. Jake almost didn't answer, but something made him pick up. Hello. Silence. Then, in his own voice, "You can't run from yourself, Jake." The line went dead. Jake never found out who was calling him. The police couldn't trace the number. Tech experts couldn't explain the spoofing. The security footage was analyzed by professionals who found no evidence of tampering, but also no explanation for what it showed. Jake moved 4 more times in 2 years. The calls eventually stopped. But sometimes, late at night, Jake still wonders, if he called his own number right now, would someone answer? And would it be him? Melissa Torres had a routine. Every morning, she'd stop at the same coffee shop on her way to work. Same time, same order, same seat by the window if it was available. She'd been doing this for 2 years. In August 2022, the coffee shop installed new security cameras. The owner, David, was friendly with most of his regulars, and he jokingly told Melissa, Now I can prove you're here every single day at 7:15. Melissa laughed. You could set your watch by me. But 3 weeks later, David pulled Melissa aside with a strange look on his face. Can I show you something weird? He asked. He brought her to the back office and pulled up the security footage on his computer. This is from yesterday, he said, Tuesday, 7:15 a.m. The footage showed Melissa walking into the coffee shop, ordering her usual latte, and sitting by the window. Normal, okay, Melissa said, confused. Now watch this. David fast forwarded to 7:43 a.m. The footage showed Melissa walking into the coffee shop again. Same clothes, same purse, same everything. She ordered the same drink, sat in the same seat, right next to herself. What is this? Melissa's voice cracked. I don't know, David said. I thought maybe it was a twin, but you're sitting right next to yourself, and neither of you seems to notice. Melissa stared at the screen. In the footage, both versions of her were sitting there, sipping coffee, looking at their phones. For 11 minutes, they sat side by side. Then, at 7:54 a.m., one of them stood up and left. Melissa's mind raced. This has to be edited. Someone's messing with you. I thought that too, but look. David rewound and zoomed in. You can see other customers walking past. Time stamps are continuous. No cuts, no glitches. I was only there once yesterday, Melissa insisted. I left at 7:26. I have my credit card statement to prove it. She pulled out her phone and showed David. One charge, 7:17 a.m., $4.75. Then who's this? David pointed at the second Melissa on screen. They watched the footage from other angles. Every camera showed the same thing. Two Melissas, same moment, same space. Did anyone else see this? Melissa asked, her voice barely a whisper. That's the thing, David said. I asked Jenny, she was working that morning. She doesn't remember seeing two of you. She doesn't even remember you coming in twice. Melissa went home that night and couldn't stop thinking about it. She checked her photos from Tuesday, her phone's location history. Everything confirmed she'd only been to the coffee shop once, but the footage didn't lie. Over the next week, David kept watching the cameras. It happened again on Thursday, then Monday, always the same. Melissa would come in at her normal time. Then, 20-30 minutes later, another Melissa would walk in. Should we call someone? David asked, like, I don't know, the police, a tech company, and tell them what? Melissa said, that I'm haunting my own coffee shop. But then it got worse. The second Melissa started doing things differently. On Wednesday, the first Melissa ordered her regular latte and left at 7:28 a.m. like always. But the second Melissa, who arrived at 7:41 a.m., ordered a black coffee, something Melissa never drank. Then the second Melissa sat down next to a man at a corner table. They talked for 15 minutes. Laughing, smiling, Melissa didn't recognize the man. David, who is that? She asked, pointing at the screen. I don't know. Never seen him before. The second Melissa and the man left together at 8:02 a.m. Melissa felt sick. This isn't me. I've never talked to that man. I've never ordered black coffee. This is someone else. But it looks exactly like you. David said. Same face, same hair, same mannerisms. That's when Melissa noticed something in the footage, a detail she'd missed before. The second Melissa was wearing a bracelet on her right wrist. Melissa had never worn that bracelet in her life. She started reviewing the footage obsessively. Every appearance of the second Melissa showed small differences. Different nail polish, a ring on a different finger, subtle things most people wouldn't notice, but the face was identical. Melissa stopped going to the coffee shop. She couldn't handle it, but David kept watching. The second Melissa kept showing up. Same time, every day, for 2 weeks. Then, on a Tuesday morning, something changed. The second Melissa walked in at 7:15 a.m., the original Melissa's time, and ordered the regular latte. She sat in Melissa's spot by the window, and at 7:43 a.m., the first Melissa walked in. They'd switched. David called Melissa immediately. "You need to see this." Melissa watched the footage, her hands shaking. "That's not me in the window. I wasn't there. I swear I wasn't there." "Then who is it?" Melissa didn't have an answer. She went to the coffee shop that afternoon to confront herself, but the second Melissa never appeared outside of those morning hours. Melissa filed a police report, but what could she say? Someone who looks exactly like me is appearing on security footage. They took the report but clearly thought she was wasting their time. 3 days later, Melissa's credit card was charged for a purchase she didn't make. The store, a boutique 3 blocks from the coffee shop. Time of purchase, 7:52 a.m., right when the second Melissa would have left. Melissa checked her bank statement. There were other charges, small ones, coffee shops, bookstores, lunch spots, all in the same neighborhood, all at times when Melissa had alibis proving she was somewhere else. Someone was living a parallel life as her. The footage eventually stopped showing the second Melissa after 6 weeks. No explanation, she just stopped appearing. But Melissa still gets alerts on her credit card for purchases she didn't make. Small amounts, always in that same neighborhood. And sometimes, people she's never met will stop her on the street and say, "Hey, I saw you at the coffee shop yesterday. You didn't say hi." Melissa doesn't go to that neighborhood anymore. But somewhere in Seattle, someone who looks exactly like her is still living a life that isn't hers. And Melissa has no idea who she is or what she wants. Ryan Caldwell traveled for work, sales job, different city every week. Hotels blurred together after a while. They all had the same beige walls, the same thin pillows, the same generic art. In November 2020, Ryan was in Denver for a conference. He checked into a Marriott downtown on a Sunday night, attended meetings Monday and Tuesday, then checked out Wednesday morning. Standard trip. Forgettable, until 2 weeks later, when he got an email from Marriott customer service. Subject: "Thank you for your recent stay." The email thanked Ryan for staying at the Denver Marriott from November 15-18. Ryan stared at his screen. Those dates were correct. But the email also included a receipt for room service he'd never ordered and a late checkout fee he'd never agreed to. He called the hotel. "Hi, I think there's been a mistake on my bill." Ryan explained, "I'm seeing charges for room service I didn't order." The front desk pulled up his account. "Mr. Caldwell, let me check." "Okay, yes, we have you checking in November 15th and checking out November 18th. The room service charge was from November 16th at 11:34 p.m. 2 orders, a steak, dinner, and a bottle of wine." "I didn't order that," Ryan said. "I wasn't even in the room that night. I was at a dinner with clients until 1 a.m. "Sir, the charge was made from the room phone, and it looks like you signed for it." Ryan's pulse quickened. "What do you mean I signed for it?" "We have a signature on file, digital signature pad, when room service was delivered. Can you send me a copy? They emailed it within minutes. Ryan opened the attachment. It was his signature, exactly his signature, the same loop on the R, the same way he crossed his T's. But he hadn't signed it. This doesn't make sense, Ryan said. Can you check your security footage? I want to see who signed for this. The manager was reluctant but agreed. It'll take a few days to pull the footage. Ryan hung up, deeply unsettled. He checked his credit card statement. The charge was there, $87.43, November 16th, 11:34 p.m. But Ryan had been at a steakhouse with 3 clients that entire night. He had the receipt to prove it. 11:47 p.m., different restaurant, different part of town. A week later, the hotel called back. Mr. Caldwell, we reviewed the footage, and, a long pause, it's you, on the footage, answering the door, signing for the room service. Ryan's hands went numb. That's impossible. I'm looking at it right now. You're wearing a blue shirt, jeans. You take the food, sign the tablet, and close the door. What time was this? 11:34 p.m., like the receipt says. Send me the footage. Sir, we can't just send it now. This is identity theft or fraud or something. I need to see it. The manager agreed to send a short clip. Ryan watched it on his laptop an hour later. It was him, same height, same build, same face, same mannerisms, the way he shifted his weight when standing, the way he nodded while signing. But it wasn't him. Ryan called the hotel back. That's not me. I don't know who that is, but it's not me. Mr. Caldwell, I understand you're upset, but check your records. Did you give someone else a key to my room? No, sir. Only you checked in. Only one key was issued. Then how did someone get in my room and order room service? The manager had no answer. Ryan filed a police report in Denver. They opened an investigation, but found nothing. No evidence of a break-in. No unauthorized key cards issued. The hotel's system showed only Ryan had accessed the room during his stay. But Ryan knew the truth. Someone had been in his room. Someone who looked exactly like him. He started reviewing all his hotel stays from the past year. Called every hotel. Checked every receipt. 3 other hotels had similar incidents. In Phoenix, someone ordered a massage to Ryan's room while Ryan was in a meeting. The therapist described the person who answered the door. Tall, brown hair, friendly, tipped well. In Chicago, someone called the front desk from Ryan's room at 2 a.m. asking for extra towels. The night clerk remembered bringing them up. You seem tired. The clerk told Ryan, you barely said 2 words. Ryan hadn't been there. He'd been at a bar with coworkers until 3 a.m. In Atlanta, hotel security footage showed someone leaving Ryan's room at 6:47 a.m. and going to the hotel gym. Using Ryan's key card, wearing Ryan's workout clothes, Ryan hadn't gone to the gym. The more Ryan investigated, the clearer it became. Someone was following him, staying in his hotels, using his rooms, living his life, but only when Ryan wasn't there. Ryan hired a private investigator. They found nothing. No duplicate key cards, no security breaches. No one matching Ryan's description checking into hotels under different names. It was like a ghost. In February 2021, Ryan was scheduled to stay at a Hilton in Boston. He decided to set a trap. He checked in normally, but didn't actually stay in the room. Instead, he set up a hidden camera inside the closet, aimed at the door, and got a room at a different hotel down the street. At 9:15 p.m., his camera detected movement. The door to his Hilton room opened. Someone walked in. Ryan's heart nearly stopped when he saw the footage. It was him, exactly him. Same clothes he'd worn that morning. Same watch. Same everything. The figure moved around the room casually, like he owned it. Turned on the TV, sat on the bed, ordered room service. For 3 hours, Ryan watched this person live in his room. Then, at 12:23 a.m., the figure looked directly at the camera, smiled, and mouthed the words, "I know you're watching." Ryan called the police immediately. They raided the room at 12:47 a.m. It was empty, no one inside, no sign anyone had been there, but the room service tray was there. Half-eaten steak, empty wine glass, and on the notepad by the phone, someone had written a message. "You can't be in two places at once, Ryan, but I can." Ryan never found out who was impersonating him. The investigation went cold. No DNA evidence, no fingerprints that weren't his own. Ryan quit his job, stopped traveling, moved to a small town in Oregon where he'd never been before. He's been there for 3 years now, but last month he got an email from a hotel in Portland, a hotel he's never stayed at, thanking him for his recent visit. The receipt shows someone checked in under his name, used his credit card, and stayed for 2 nights. Ryan was home the entire time. He doesn't know what to do anymore, because whoever this is, they're not stopping, and they're getting closer. Some people say everyone has a doppelganger somewhere in the world. But what if your doppelganger isn't somewhere else? What if they're living in the spaces between your life, the moments you're not paying attention, the places you've just left, the rooms you think are empty? What if they're not trying to replace you? They're just waiting for you to notice them, and when you finally do, what then? If this story made you check over your shoulder, you're not alone. Subscribe and turn on notifications, because the truth is always stranger and scarier than fiction. And remember, the next time something feels off in your life, maybe it's not paranoia. Maybe someone else is living it too.